We are back, Santa Cruz County Public Media friends and family. We are back with another segment of Meet Your Local Candidates. We are live in YouTube right now and on Facebook. Later, our platforms go through Spotify, Roku TV, Amazon Fire. Edgardo was sharing with me the other time that we're also in Apple on the podcast in Apple. So that's amazing to get to know. And thank you again for our audience because we keep growing. Thanks to you and thanks to our allies because we have a beautiful studio here in Morley Avenue. We love Nogales. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to our allies. So with that being said, we have another amazing leader from our community, another candidate, and we want to make sure all of our candidates stay here with us in We Love Nogales in Santa Cruz County Public Media and share about them, a little bit about them or a lot about them and their projects, their missions, their goals, because we are very close to election time. So thank you, Carola Romero, for coming to our studio. You are going to represent us in Santa Cruz County as a write-in candidate for treasurer for Santa Cruz County. Yes. So welcome, and thank you for being here. Thank you for coming back.
Thank you, Marisa, for having me.
Of course. Yeah, of course. It is a pleasure. Carola, it is a pleasure, Carola Romero, as a write-in candidate, to have you here. We were counting before we were live right now. So it's been about 5 months that you were here?
I think like in May.
In May, So welcome again. I think it's great for all of our candidates. I think a lot of them they're doing like second rounds of interviews. So this is great, and it covers a lot of people that maybe didn't watch you before, and now they're getting to see your banners, your face, places where you're meeting them. So it is great. So Carola, just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then let's start touching base about, what is to be running for treasurer and why are you here? Yeah.
Okay, so I was raised in Nogales, graduated from Nogales High School in 2003, and I went to college. 2004, I decided to enlist in the Army. We were at war. 9/11 had just happened, so that's what I decided to do. I graduated from military police school, and for about 2 years I was working for the Army National Guard, Joint Force Headquarters, Human Resources. I did that. I was active guard, so I would process soldiers to and from deployment. And then for about 3 years, I worked with the Arizona Alzheimer's Association, Southern Arizona region, as an office manager, and I was in charge of all the donations that would come into the office. And I would also help coordinate the events. So one of the biggest events that the Alzheimer's Association has is the Walk to End Alzheimer's. So about 10 years ago, I decided to come back to Santa Cruz County. And ever since coming back, I've been working with my family at the family business that my grandfather started back in the 1960s. So there I do the accounting, the quarterlies, the sales taxes. I also do importations, and I do help our Mexican company. So I help a little bit with the accounting over there, which is very different than the accounting here. It's stricter over there. They have more regulations, and I do the invoicing. So I also have a bookkeeping certificate and a degree in business management. So here I am, and so the reason I decided to run, obviously the $4 million that ended up being 40 million. And yeah, I mean, that had a huge impact on my decision to run. For many years, I have been active in doing campaigns here. The first campaign I helped was when I was a senior in high school. It was back in 2002. But running was never something I wanted to do. I'm not a politician. I just like politics, but what happened, and instead of complaining, I decided I have to try and do something. So that's why I decided to run. And I'm a writing candidate because I chose to stay as an independent. I had a choice to either run as a Republican and run as a Democrat and have a chance of having my name out on the general election. But that's not who I am. I'm not gonna belong to any party just so I could win. That's not the reason I'm running. I'm an independent. I'm gonna stay like that. I'm gonna stay true to my beliefs, whether I win or lose, and it's up to the people to decide whether they want me to represent them or not. So,
Thank you. And first of all, thank you for your service.
thank you.
Yes, of course. And thank you for sharing that background, that knowledge. It also helps, to get to know who Carola Romero is, running as independent, as a write-in for the treasurer in Santa Cruz County. And yes, Carola, I think, we're being very shocked and sad and frustrated about all the things that have been happening due to our former treasurer that we had before.
Right.
And then also planning how as a community we can get more knowledge. How can we expand our knowledge and get to know, like, what does it takes, what it takes to be a treasurer, and how can us, like the public, the community, oversee those things, or how valid will be, our questions or comments. So I think it's great that you explain us your background, your frustration as a resident, but also saying, that I gotta do something, so I'm gonna start running for treasurer because I have experience, I have knowledge, and I'm here.
Right. And the thing is, yeah, we have shown our frustration out on our leaders, but at the same time, we have to look at ourselves. We can't rely on the government to fix our problems. We can't rely on the government for change. It has to come from us. We have to be more involved. We have to pay attention to the budget. We have to attend meetings. That's very important. And we're the ones that have to go out, and it's our money. At the end of the day, we are a country of the people, for the people, and by the people, which means that it's not the government's money, it is our money. So because of that, we have to treat the county's bank accounts as if it's our bank accounts. So we have to go and ask these questions. Where's our money going? What is our money being spent on? And it's something we do amongst each other. Like, we'll complain about our taxes being raised, but that conversation stays at home, or it stays amongst ourselves. We don't ask that question outside of it. We don't go to the county meetings. We don't go to the city council meetings. Parents don't even attend school board meetings, and we need to change that. Our elected officials don't get into office on their own. We are the ones that elect them. So if we're frustrated with how they're doing things, we could vote them out, but we are not doing that. So we have to be more active in what's going on.
Right, and thank you. Yes, thank you for sharing that, because I think, at the same time, like you mentioned, it's like a waking up alert call, to say, what are we gonna do too, as community, for all of us, like how important it is to just go and ask questions about it, attend those board meetings. They happen often. They're open to the public, and it's our time, sometimes to exchange, to talk, or to meet local candidates and start asking questions little by little. I know, and thank you for that. You are providing your social media, your email, all that information, because our audience looks also, for like to ask questions or to find ways. Sometimes there's a big barrier that we think we have, and it's just open. It's open for everyone. We can all ask, the same questions and interact and get to know. So with that being said, like how how is Carola Romero, writing candidate for Santa Cruz County planning to, advocate for all of us as a community and to oversee, funding that it goes to the right places, to the right, places within our county.
Well, we love hearing our candidates and politicians love saying, I'm going to bring accountability, I'm going to bring transparency. And for them, transparency is, oh, send me an email and I'm going to get back to you, or call me, or I have an open door policy. That's not transparency. For me, accountability is showing, accountability is where the money is going and what the money is being spent on. Transparency for me is being able to use the law to open the books to the public so that the public can see the finances, so that the public can see the county's revenue, the county's expenses, and so that they can know what is coming in, what is going out. And by doing that, you are bringing accountability and transparency at the same time. That way, the community could hold the local government accountable, because they have that available. And yes, the community could go through the public records and request that, but I don't want them to go to that hassle. I want it to be available for them, without having to have to go through that public records request. So that's my goal. I want to open the books for them. I go to the Arizona State website where it has the Santa Cruz County open books, and there's over $120 million in the past 10 years, where in the vendor and payee section, the end user, it says not applicable. So it says, so where's our money? Who's the end user on that? All we know is that, okay, so the money, $2 million left the superintendent's office. But that's all we know. We don't know who the end user was. So that's not transparency. We need to know who the vendor was. We need to know who received that money. And that's what it's about. And I want to bring that transparency to people because they have a right to know. It's their money. So for me, that's very important. Using the law to bring that transparency to the people.
I see. Thank you. I know you were at the forum in Tubac, and thank you for that also, as candidate and leader in our community to also be available, for those forums along with other candidates. And there were many very interested questions, and of course, a couple of them were, addressing property taxes.
Right.
What are your views about, the question was, if I can remember correctly, about raising property taxes for the next couple of years.
Right. So, obviously the treasurer doesn't really have a say, but I'm talking from what I see it. We are a county that relies heavily on federal and state funding and grants. Our budget for 2024 and 2025 is $153 million. So that's a lot of money. We have a lot of money. To put into perspective, out of $153 million, $20 million comes from property taxes. That's not many. So we don't have a big tax base here. And another $16 million comes from, give or take, comes from other taxes. Probably $1 million comes from investments and whatnot. So let's say in total, give or take, let's say about, I'm going to be conservative right here, and let's say $100 million comes from federal and state funding and grants. We already saw that the county just lost a grant because of the investigation, and it was a pretty significant grant that we lost. We're not seeing the effects right now of um, of the money that you know that was stolen in this year's budget, because the grants for this year have already been approved prior to the investigation. But for next year, 2 or 3 years from now, we might see that effect, and we might lose more grants. We might not. Hopefully, we don't. But if we do, and if the loss in grants is substantial enough to affect the budgets, our county leaders are going to be left with two options: either cut spending, which means they're going to have to cut personnel, or they're going to have to increase the tax rate, which means either the tax rate in sales taxes or property tax rates. So for any public official to say that no, our taxes are not going to go up is very misleading, and vice versa, to say that they are going to go up, for sure, it's very misleading as well. So it could happen or it could not, but
I see.
Again, we rely heavily on grants.
I see.
And who's going to want to give a county money that just lost $40 million? Even though we are going to get at least 2 new supervisors, we still have that stigma on us. And it's going to take a while to gain the trust back. I mean, it's going to take a while to gain the community trust back. So imagine financial institutions or people that want to give us money. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully not.
Right.
Because we're already suffering.
Right.
True. Because of the economy as a whole. So
yeah, and thank you for sharing that. The question, the specifics, and a little bit, pretty much about everything. That it's a couple of the questions that you are getting around, right, with our community. And I think it's very important, Carola Romero, running for as a write-in candidate for treasurer for Santa Cruz County. Also, to share what it means, because I always mention our community. Sometimes, there's a lot of people moving in, coming in, muchos que hablan solamente español también, pero votan. Y qué importante decirles el significado de qué es correr como un write-in candidate, qué significa. Entonces, ¿cómo vamos a ver la boleta y vamos a votar por Carola Romero como treasurer para Santa Cruz County? Eso, aunque sea a veces, muchos sí decimos, no, pues write-in candidate significa esto.
Sí.
I would love for you to address it. What does it mean to be a write-in candidate? Para explicarle al público también qué tan importante es escribir correcto cuando vamos a votar para un write-in candidate.
So my name will not be on the ballot, obviously, but under Santa Cruz County Treasurer, you do fill in the bubble, and you will have to write in my name. From my understanding, if you miss a word, if you miss a letter or something, just as long as the intention is there,
okay,
it should be counted. So, I mean, in reality, it is a disadvantage for me, but like I said, I'm staying true to who I am, and I'm not going to lie just to get to win or not. So so my name will not be on the ballot, but under Santa Cruz County Treasurer, you fill in the bubble, and you write in my name, and it'll be counted.
Awesome. And Carola Romero, running for a write-in candidate, and it's so important, I think, to address that, like, to our community when our leaders are here, to get to know who they are and why they're here. But thank you for addressing that as well. You as a person mentioning, I want to be with my vision, with my thoughts, and I think it's fair for our public, our audience, to get to know me, how my vision it is, and I'm deciding to run as a write-in.
Right.
So thank you for sharing that, because also, it's on your leadership traits, and I think it's also great encouragement for other future generations that would like to run and have also that knowledge of saying, it's a great inspiration, and this is how I'm going to follow. I think it's also great inspiration for many to see your views, your goals, your visions, and also to when it's time to make the decision to know how to vote for writing candidates. So.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I'm doing it to represent the people. I have nothing to gain from this politically or personally. And I feel that my time in the Army, my time working in the nonprofit organization, my time working in the private sector has given me the structure, the integrity, and the skills to be able to go into the treasurer's office and represent the people, because at the end of the day, that's what it's about. It's about representing the people, representing the community. But at the end of the day, the leaders can't do it by themselves. We need the community. The communities, it doesn't end by just voting. And like I said, we have to hold if I'm in there, you have to hold me accountable. I mean, if I say something and I don't do it, hold me accountable. And that's what it is. It's about our elected officials are not immune from political criticism. Right. As long as the criticism has to do with policy. And we have to hold them accountable. And we also have to hold ourselves accountable for not attending and not being aware of what's going on in our community. So,
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for sharing. And then, and thank you to our audience. They share comments and likes again. Thank you so much again. And we had one of the questions, and I think you just answered it, but also to address why you are not in the ballot and why you are a writing candidate. Is just somebody that just joined us, and thank you for watching us. So the reason, if you can explain briefly why you're not showing in the ballot.
Well, first off, because by the time the deadline happened, I wasn't planning on running, and everything happened with the whole incident with the treasurer. Happened after the deadline, and so I turned in the paperwork afterwards, and I decided to stay as an independent candidate. And before the primaries, they told me if I wanted to switch to either Republican or a Democrat, and I got through the primary with enough votes, my name would be on the general election. But again, I did not want to belong to any party. I want to represent the community as a whole, not as a Republican, not as an independent. Our money is green, it is not red or blue, and that's why I decided it's an uphill battle, but I decided to stay as an independent, even if that meant, having my name not on the ballot. So that's why I did that.
Thank you for sharing that. That's amazing. And so for that, explaining, it's Carola Romero running as a write-in candidate for treasurer for Santa Cruz County. So I would love, as I ask all our leaders sitting in this chair, it's so important for our audience to get to know you and sharing the information of why it's important to vote, mostly on our, if you're watching us and you're not from our county and you're in another county, why it's so important, all those local votings, like why we should go out and vote right now during these times. As soon as we receive maybe the mail ballot, or if we're voting in person, why it's so important. And then if you can please close with why it's so important to vote for Carola Romero.
Well, I kind of said that. I kind of had my closing statement prior, but
awesome.
It's very important to vote, especially in the situation, not only in the situation we are in locally, but also what's going on in our country. And the only way we can have our voices heard is if we go out and vote. And voting early, the advantage of that is if something happens on election day, you cannot go, you've already gotten that out of the way. So you have to, it's our duty to to go and vote.
Yes,
And,
definitely. Responsibility too.
This community, from what I read, like we didn't have a huge turnout, and we haven't had a huge turnout. So we can't. If we complain and we don't vote, then we have no reason to complain. So it's very important to vote.
Yes.
So-
So please, please, if you live in Santa Cruz County or any other, county, today is the last day to register
register.
to vote. And so easy, a couple of minutes in the computer just to register. You will receive your ballot by mail, and then you can just vote right there and return it in local areas. And
Well, actually, I think if you're not on the early mail-in ballot, you don't automatically get an early ballot.
okay,
But you can go actually to a voting
area.
precinct to vote in person.
Awesome.
But as far as receiving an early mail-in ballot, I believe you do have to either be on the permanent early voting list or have requested an early ballot.
I see.
If not, then you will have to go and vote early in person.
Okay.
But there's voting locations around the
Exactly.
counties.
So you still have the opportunity to vote early
Right.
by registering, for vote. So deadline is today.
Right.
And then we'll receive our ballots.
They should mail them out, I think, on the 9th.
Yes,
I think,
on the
yeah.
9th of October. And then November 5th, it's our big, our
and
big
then,
day.
Then after that, then we could watch football without political ads, and
Right.
that's it.
Yes,
No more
yes.
politics for at least 2 years.
Right, exactly. So, but anything else, Carola Romero, running as a writing candidate for our county as a treasurer, anything that you would like to address our audience before you share also the importance of voting for you?
At the end of the day, I'm not compromising. Like I said, I'm doing this to represent the people. I have nothing to lose, nothing to gain from this, and I'm in it because I want to see Santa Cruz County get out of this stagnant stage that we have been in for such a long time. We are stuck. Like, we're not going one way or another. It's like we are stuck, and we need to get out of this. And that's the only way. Like, if I'm done complaining, and I just want to do something about it. Whether I win or I lose, I'm still going to want to do something about it.
I see.
And
Thank you for your bravery on that, part of saying, I'm running, and it takes a lot. It takes, getting to know, because you mentioned I was not a politician, so getting to know how, but how important it's to mention, I got to learn, I register and I'm running, but what a great, what a great example. So thank you for your bravery. Thank you for your service again.
Thank you.
And thank you for sharing with all of us how we can vote for Carola Romero as a writing candidate for Santa Cruz County Treasurer.
Well, thank you, ma'am.
Of
Thank
course,
you.
of course. So thank you. And please watch us. Please watch all your local candidates for Santa Cruz County. You will see segments in Spotify and YouTube, Roku TV, Amazon Fire, Facebook Live. So we have no excuse to go out and vote. Let's show that we will, for this last voting terms, we're going to go out and vote, or by mail or in person, but let's show that our voice is gonna be counted, it's going to be heard. So thank you so much for another segment of Meet Your Local Candidates. Thank you for sitting with us today, Carola.
Thank you, Maritza.
It's
Thank
been a
you.
pleasure. So don't forget to vote. Don't forget to look all your local candidates, and thank you again. Send us your messages. Send us your questions, and we will be here. We continue for the next 2 or 3 weeks to interview local candidates in Santa Cruz County. So please reach out, and thank you again for watching us. Nos vemos.